that city, the economy is as big as Thailand. So that is how big the China market is. And moving on for the tourist market, Thailand expects 38 million tourists this year, and about 10 million comes from China. So you can expect 1 in 4 tourists that you encounter in Thailand, they are from China. So let's face it, I'm not saying that Chinese travelers are the best. Okay, we all know they have the reputation of sometimes being noisy, sometimes being rude, but that's the future. So we cannot turn our back on it. So let's face it. And the way they travel is actually changing. You can actually see the group travel is not totally over, but it's changing. So what is it changing into? It's changing into what we call customized travel or in-depth travel. So they will prepare what they want to go, where they want to stay, what experience they want, and they will plan it accordingly. So now not necessarily they will go on a tour, but they will customize and go in-depth in the way they travel. And very interesting, if you're talking about affluent Chinese traveler, they are now putting a higher budget onto experience, like sporting experience, even learning experience or dining experiences. So if your perception is they only do shopping, that's not the case today. They are focusing a lot on lifestyle, a lot on experiences. And let's look at what they like to do. So sometimes you think, oh, Chinese like to stick together. They want to go to places that Chinese goes to. The affluent Chinese actually like to go to places that Chinese do not go to. They like to brag about the exotic places that they have been to that other Chinese have not been to. So actually because of the social cachet, we talk about the selfie stick effect, they take photo of where they have been to and bragging to their counterparts in China where they have been to. So that is a very different concept as before, that we want to say, oh, Chinese people always stick together and go to places that they're comfortable. In fact, they're not, they're more adventurous. And why the change is happening? And it's because of something like what I'm holding on my hand, technology, mobile. Okay, so with the mobile phone, what they can do is they can research anything they want, using the mobile technology. When they travel, because of language barrier, they can use the phone for instant translation. Also, because of mobile payment that you guys heard, they can actually pay on the phone and pay back when they are back in their own country. So all of this facilitate the reason why they are now not stick to the bus tour, but rather they want to go out and explore themselves on their own. And talking about system, talking about technology, that is what happened in 1 minute in China. So let's take a look. Something familiar to you? We have heard people from Google this morning, maybe YouTube, Facebook, a lot of those. It doesn't appear on the chart. China got its own ecosystem. So they have Baidu as the search engine, they have Whiteboard, they have WeChat, they have all their ecosystem, digital ecosystem. So the way that you market to them will be very different, because if you market to them on Google, on Facebook, and everything, you're not reaching them. That's not what they're doing. Okay, so moving on to technology. That is one good statement that I want to open this session up, is by the CEO of Priceline. That he's saying some people think Chinese is copying, is catching up, but actually they are cutting edge on technology. So let me show you some examples on what I mean by cutting edge. So chatbot, is a form of AI. Do you guys know it's actually originated from WeChat, from China? And the reason why it's originated from China is because culturally, China has a lack of trust. So they do not trust your website, they do not trust the information you provide. So what they trust is they trust the people who have been to the place and tell them. So that is a lot of questions being raised during the purchasing process. And the reason why chatbot is developed is because with so many questions, that's the only way that it could work in the WeChat environment. And also we talk about Airbnb. Airbnb in China actually use facial recognition already for check-in. So that is very interesting to point out, and actually also attractions entry pass. So Baidu already used facial recognition and to swap the entry pass in Wuzhen. So that is not tomorrow. That is happening already in China. And you guys heard about Singles Day? November 11th is like the Black Friday in US, the big shopping day online in China, that they have so much sales going on. Alibaba AI marketing platform generate 400 million customized banner app, 60 billion customized pages to facilitate the sale. So based on your purchasing history, based on your browsing history, they customize the page, customize the ad, and push the product that they think you are going to be interested and push it to you. So again, this is not the future. That happened already. So, well, that's amazing, right? The amazing part too is there are so many things that are blocked in China. So whatever you learn, whatever you know how to do it right in the Western world, actually most of them are blocked in China. You know, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Google, Line that we use in Thailand, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Dropbox, Google Drive, Google Docs, everything. Okay, even Google Play. Everything is blocked in China. Why? Because they have their own ecosystem. And other than Digi, we also present at HSMAI in Europe, and there's an interesting question that comes up and say, oh, is China opening up on the internet? Because that's what they hear in the news. But in fact, actually China just tightening the cybersecurity law and make it more difficult. So definitely at this point of time, with the news that we have, China is not going to open up. And do you know something like a very cute term, Winnie the Pooh, or the letter N? That can be censored, that can be blocked in China. So depending on different time, depending on different topics, there are keywords that can be banned in China. So China is quite a complex and difficult way to approach. And how do companies get around that? For example, you say, oh, actually I can use my Google Map in China. Why are you telling me Google is not working? Google Map in China is actually not Google Map. That is AutoNavi. That is a company owned by Alibaba. So smart companies, overseas companies work with local companies to get their way into China. So, we all, in the last 24 hours, also hear Google invest in JD, which is the second largest retail platform in China. From a hotel perspective, Marriott works with Alibaba, Accor, and Hyatt, open their storefront and work with Ctrip. So that's, they are a big brand company, and that's the way that they get into, how they get into China, is by partnering with good companies in China. Okay, so this one is a little coincidence of what we talked, throughout the day, the 3-second loading time. So the same as in China, Baidu is the main search engine in China. So if your website is not loaded within 3 seconds, you'll be penalized. And it's even more difficult because of the Great Firewall of China that you've heard. The censorship, they have to look at your data and that kind of thing. So if your website is not hosted in China, is not being properly approved with the contents and everything, it's highly unlikely that your website can pass the 3-second rule. So that's the complexity of getting the presence in China. So in the 2018 WeChat annual conference, they bring up 8 bullet points on the WeChat major development. And there are 2 things that I found very interesting that I want to bring it to everyone's attention. One is search. You think WeChat is an app. For those who do not know so much, at least it's messaging, that's payment, there are other things. But now they're enhancing the search function. Why? Because they do not want any Chinese to leave the WeChat app and go to Baidu, go to any other places. They want people to stay in the app for as long as they could. So that's why they're enhancing the search function. So to make sure that people do not leave WeChat. And also mini program. You will hear about mini program a lot. That is a very main focus on WeChat because of the limitation of the app itself. they put in a program on top of the WeChat app, which allows them a lot of web applications. So there's a lot of potential to do a lot of things with mini programs. So that is something to watch on WeChat down the road, on the technology side. So while we are amazed that people say, oh, you know, there are videos that say you do not need a wallet. When you go to China, you can use the mobile phone and you can pay for everything, you can navigate, you can do everything you want in a day. And people find it pretty amazing. But what happened is, actually the way we are going is, you do not even need a wallet. You know, WeChat is coming up with the WeChat ID, you know, with the facial recognition, that basically with a smiling face, recognize, you go everywhere. You do not even need a phone. So while we are all catching up with the mobile, you know, the wallet thing, they are going, you know, the AI, facial recognition, and going that direction. And again, I'm not talking about something in the future, I'm talking about today. Okay, so let's talk about online marketing. How can we get some business, right, from China? This is an interesting, is kind of my favorite quote from the CMO from Booking.com. Because we are so used to our Western way of thinking, whenever we do online marketing, it starts with search engine, it starts with Google, it starts with PPC. Okay, that's what we're familiar with. But he mentioned, as well as I do, and talk to a lot of hotels, search engine marketing is actually not relevant in China. Okay, it's there, but it's not relevant. Okay, and I will explain a little bit more, you know, what is relevant and how to do it. So, as I say, China runs on its own digital ecosystem. So all the OTAs, you know, Ctrip.com, you know, Free now Meituan, you know, social media, they have WeChat, Weibo, review sites, they have Dianping and other things. The chat apps, they are specifically Chinese, okay, which is not used in Thailand or other country. So you have to be aware of that. So Weibo is one of the open platform, one of the open social media platforms. And WeChat, you know, WeChat does a lot of promotions, and everyone knows, you know, how great WeChat is. But brand visibility remains a real challenge for WeChat. There were only 8 million WeChat official accounts in 2016, and already 20 million WeChat official accounts in 2017. So everyone is rushing in, you know, to the crowded space. And how do your brand, how do you stand out is a major challenge for brands. And for China, one of the interesting things that I talked earlier is people buy from people they trust. Why? Because a lot of you may have experienced that, you know, there are a lot of fake things in China. They do not even believe what you're going to sell online, so they have to trust you. So in order for them to do business with you, they have to trust you. So that's the reason why, you know, that gentleman asked, you know, why do they go to other channels and everything? Because those are the channels they trust, okay? And you have to build your brand, you have to have your presence, you have to let people trust you first before they can do business with you. Okay, so how do you earn the trust very quickly? Everyone heard about KOLs, you know, a hot topic for China. KOL is actually key opinion leader, which is like influencers, bloggers, but they are like the celebrity type. So everyone say, oh, you know, that works, that's wonderful. Let's look at the cost. That is the top one, okay? You know, it's not quoted by me, but by Forbes. 150,000 US dollar per one post. Not a 1 year contract, you know, one post. And one post lasts about 1 to 3 hours. Okay? So that is when you want to, you know, engage a top tier KOL, and that's what the cost is. Of course, there are cheaper KOLs. You know, that is one, you know, of the very extreme example, but you can expect around, you know, 25, 50,000 US dollar, you know, to engage a good KOL to do marketing in China. And other than the KOL that you have to pay Weibo, you have to pay WeChat for media advertising. So they write for you, they feature you, but then you have to push the message out. So actually you do have to pay extra in order to engage them. So now you say, it's so expensive, it's so costly, why should we do it? Because if your brand has money, you want to put money in for the China market. This is one strategy that's proven to work. Okay, that is the best practice that right now, because of the trust issue, People trust the KOL, people trust the people. So as I say, if your brand has money and you want to have a quick win in China, the KOL strategy is something that you should consider. And next, it's not hotel specific, but this is from one of my friends who do cross-border business from Australia to China. And again, this is something that I talk to my hotels all the time. There are too many messages, there are too many products out there. So what you need to do to win the Chinese is not to confuse them. Sell your hero product. What I call hero product is test it out with the Chinese, okay? Something that they want, something that they like, and focus and push it, okay? Don't give them 10 different promotions, 10 different room types. You know, they are not, you're wasting your time, you're spreading yourself thin. So sell hero product, focus, know what they want, and push it. That will be the way to do marketing in China. And we heard about, Gen XYZ, and in China, actually Gen Z is very distinct from the millennials. So while everyone's trying to learn what Chinese millennials do and how to market them, actually Gen Z is very different. How different are they? They are hooked on videos. Okay, that's why you heard about a company like Douyin, okay, or TikTok. That's the overseas name. That's the video channel or live streaming. Because the Gen Z are hooked on those channels, they become one of the fastest growing company in China. Okay, so again, the video channel, because of Gen Z, you have to also play a part on. And also in China, that is one area that they put social media and e-commerce together so closely. Stunning 70% of them say they are willing to purchase just based on social media, on the social media platform based on recommendation. Okay, this is not happening in the West yet, but they are happening in China. They believe so much on social media, and they bring social e-commerce together so much closer because of the generation. So that is quite unique for China. Okay, this one doesn't come out with a nice color, but hopefully you can see the top 10 trends on China's social media insight. Now we have to say that's no easy game. So if you want to play a part in China, organic reach is very difficult to do. There are still some ways, but you have to expect to pay in order to get some good exposure, and also video, as I mentioned. So moving on, I talk about mini programs. This is again, I always like to talk about money a little bit because that is to put things into perspective. So mini program, they have a game called Jump Jump, okay, and that is a pretty simple, I would say, stupid game. You press a button and then you jump from one block to another block, and that's the game, okay. So if you want to advertise on that game, it's $1.5 million for 2 days. So your company corporate logo will appear on one of the blocks that I'm going to jump on. And basically, you're paying $1.5 million to get your brand out on this mini program. And next, okay. So from a budget standpoint, I want to bring it up because not a lot of people like to talk about money. But this is not from me, not from my company. It's from public domain. If you're a very small brand and if you are serious about the Chinese market and you want to do some marketing, in China to get your presence, it will be around 25,000 to 100,000 US dollar. So China is definitely not cheap, okay? That's kind of what they put out in the public domain. Okay, so I know we are crunching a little bit of time. I will go through the last one, the education articles. So because I'm very passionate about the China market, I was from Canada. When I was living in Canada, I moved to Asia. And I bring their best practice to Asia, and it seems like I have a crystal ball. So it's interesting now that what I'm learning in China, I'm bringing back to overseas to the hotels, and it's like another crystal ball. So I'd like to share what I learned, and help hotels. So we put out the customer traveler's journey. As I say, is very different from the Western world, from the inspiration. They want to be inspired. They want to plan things out, and they're using social media, they're using bloggings, all those in order to get inspired to plan the trip And then after they stay, they like to experience and they like to share. Okay, so that is something that is different, again, from the Western world. And I know a lot of you say, oh, okay, then China is important, let me put up a Chinese webpage. So this article actually addressed why a website, in Chinese is not good enough. So a translated website is not good enough. So if you have time, feel free to take a look at my article. And also, that answered that gentleman's question. How can we get some booking? Okay, that's actually some misconception about getting bookings because China is so fragmented. Okay, I was talking to hotels and they are just amazed that they say, I never put out a rate lower than $100 US, but somebody can book it for 80. And that happened in China. Okay, so if you want to find out why, I can tell you later. There are tricks that they do, there are things that flow out in the market, but you can really rarely can get rate parity out in China because of all the complexity. Again, this article addressed some of those. If you're interested, please feel free to take a look. And then on the matrix. I worked for like a key digital agency in UK before, and the matrix that we used before as compared to what we use for China online marketing today is very different. So if you use the same matrix of what you know to apply into China online marketing, I'm worried that you're going to make the wrong decision. So I write this article to help hotels to understand what matrix should be used for China online marketing. And also, my company engage KOL, engage bloggers. We have our own in-house bloggers to help promote our clients. And I have an interview with our bloggers. We have what we call always on campaign. We actually publish weekly article, about 3 articles, to keep our account active, to get the interaction and engagement. So, that is a chit chat with all the bloggers and KOLs, and you can better understand their life and what they are up to. And this is one of my latest articles to talk about Weibo. Weibo is an open platform. As I say, although organic reach is very hard to get, but I'm still giving some tips on how you guys can do very cost effectively, without any huge spending on advertising costs to put it out on Weibo and get some good result. So again, if you have your own Weibo account and you want to do some, posts to get you some organic reach, feel free to take a look at my article. And also, what we do is we have the crystal ball, and we are like, China has 1.3 billion people in population. Okay, getting to know who to book and everything is so difficult. And loyalty sells, working with partners, as I mentioned at the beginning. We work with China Southern Airlines, and partner, and we actually founded an alliance called LN Global Hotel Alliance, that we have 46 million Chinese travelers in our loyalty program that we can push the message to them, and they're all ready to travel, Chinese traveler. So that is some way that we think that's the only way that can really help to push the booking to hotels. So quickly about us, who we are. We are a cost-effective trade agency working only with the hotel industry to market hotel brands in China. We do website localization by doing SEO. We do a lot on social media, and we do influencers marketing, with KOL. We founded LN Hotel Alliance, and we do O2O marketing, which is online to offline. And this is one area that I want to talk about. China is no pure online. Okay, you guys heard about C-Trip, thinking it's a OTA. They have 6,000 offline offices in China. So actually, online is not totally online in China. Online to offline is one of the key marketing strategies in China, and that's what we provide as well. So again, I give you a fast-speed train talking about giving you a lot of surprises, hopefully a lot of information about the China market. And if you're interested to continue to find out more or to find the answers from a lot, to get into more details, we have a group on Facebook called China Ready Hotels Group. So everyone can join, everyone can contribute as well. And also you can find me on LinkedIn, you can find my articles on our corporate website, cruiseedge.com. We also have a booth out there. Our Rebecca, our head of business development, Gentana, our country manager, they'll be out there to answer any question that you have, and I'll be more than happy. I'm staying around to answer any question that you guys have. So thank you very much for your time.